Hi, brothers and sisters in Christ. My name is Lee or Leanne, whichever you guys prefer. I'm here. I just wanted to share a few prophetic dreams that I've had over the past few years. And I don't want to take up a lot of time. I just kind of want to quickly go over the dreams and give you guys some verses that correspond with those dreams. Two were rapture dreams, and one, I know this is very controversial. I'm not sure if I even believe it. I am still praying for discernment, but I am getting a lot of confirmation that it was a dream from the Lord, and that I should be sharing it, and it's about the 3 days of darkness. So I would say any and all of what I say, please take it back to the Lord in prayer, ask for discernment, and if it speaks to you, that's great. And if you can relate to it, that's wonderful. We are all one body, and I feel like a lot of us are having a lot of these experiences. And so I just want to share mine to let you know, you're not alone in this. Things are ramping up. Like, we're all starting to have these dreams. I shouldn't say all, but like a lot of us. I felt very alone in it until I went on YouTube and saw how many of my other brothers and sisters were having these sorts of dreams. And it did definitely give me the motivation and the courage to be able to come on and share mine as well. So I'm going to keep this kind of generic because I'm going to put it on my own channel. I'm also going to send it out to our sister Amber over at Cloud9 Blessings. She's doing such an amazing job collecting and sharing all of these dreams and visions with the community. I'm probably going to send it out to Brother Joseph at Great Miracles Avenue, and just anywhere else where I can get these out. So the first dream and the second dream, they were both rapture dreams. I did not write them down. Oh, also, I don't record myself a lot, so I don't know where to look. I don't know if I'm looking at you or at the camera, but I'm doing my best here to get this out. Okay, so the first two dreams were rapture dreams. I did not write them down, but based on the events that were happening in my life, I can pinpoint like which year and when they kind of happened. So the first one was in 2017. My son had recently just started school, and the school bus was like a really big thing for him. So in that dream, what happened was we were putting together a birthday party for him, and I was trying to get the cake out, and all the guests were arriving, and I was directing where the presents were going to go and everything like that. My son was getting very excited. His friends were showing up, and all of a sudden I looked out the window, and this giant bus was like coming down out of the clouds, and it was looping around, and I could see that it was gonna pull in front of my house. And I ran and I grabbed my son. He was about 6 at that time. And I said, come on, buddy, we need to be ready. We have to go. It's time to go. We cannot miss this bus. And I knew that it was there to pick us up for the rapture. And he said, well, what about my party? Like, everybody's just getting here. I want to do my party. And I said, bud, your party's being moved to heaven. Come on, we'll have it up there. Let's just go. And he said, okay. So we went out onto the porch, and the bus came in front of the house, and we were able to load onto the bus. And I remember getting on the bus with my son and sitting down. I don't remember how many other people from my home that were there entered the bus. I don't remember who else was on the bus. But then the bus started again, and it headed back up into the clouds. And I could see Earth getting smaller and smaller and smaller in the clouds. And all of a sudden, it was just like blip. And we pulled up somewhere, and it wasn't my house. It was like a building. And I can't really describe it. I wish I would have written this dream down. I don't remember what it looked like, but I walked into it with my son. And you know how if you go to Chuck E. Cheese or like some other place, there's like a room like with games, and then there's a separate area where you can sit down and put your stuff, and the adults can talk, and it's like the restaurant area. It was kind of like that when we walked in, and it was like a private party for my son. but other people were there. But they took us back into this room that was like his private party room, and there was all kinds of like noise and laughter and fun going on outside. But then we were in his party room, and I noticed that maybe only about half of the people that were at my home were in the party room with us, and the other half were missing. And I wasn't sad, I wasn't grieved. It was just like a knowing, like they didn't make it. They didn't make it. And my son didn't notice. He didn't notice. He was off and running and happy at his party. So that was the first rapture dream that I had ever had. Oh, I should probably say I've been a Christian my whole life. I accepted Jesus Christ at age 4. In my 20s, my faith wavered a little bit. I think all of us go through a thing where it's like, yeah, we know God's real. Yeah, we believe in Jesus. There's so much evidence. We can't refute what happened, but we want more people to be able to go to heaven. So like we try to widen the gate, and it's like, is it really, like, is there really no other way? And I kind of went through that, and Jesus corrected me and let me know he is the way, the truth, the light, the only way to the Father. And ever since then, I've always been a very strong Christian and have advocated for Jesus. So I think that's really important to mention, and that you guys know about me too. Okay, the second dream, that was in 2022. And I dreamt that I was grocery shopping, because like I'm a mom, you know, that's what I do with like 90% of my free time. And I was in the grocery store. I was in like, I want to say like the cosmetics section, like, you know, where they have like the toothpaste and the shampoo and all that kind of stuff. I was there. I was very aware of the fluorescent lights up above me, and all of a sudden they started to flicker. And once they started flickering, I could see certain different people in the store. It wasn't like all at once everybody just went up. It was almost like popcorn, where it would be like just one at a time at different times. And I was watching these people just go up, and their clothes drop, and they would just go up. And then I felt myself start to lift up, and I was lifting up, and I was being lifted up, and I could feel like it was almost like a magnet was like pulling me up. And then I started to like hover back down, and I thought, oh no, are they changing their minds? Am I being left behind? Am I gonna miss it? And then I started feeling like I was being pulled back up again, and that's when I woke up from the dream. So I thought it was really interesting to share that too. Then I started having thoughts like, I read my Bible, I go to church when I can, I used to teach Sunday school. I have chronic Lyme disease and fibromyalgia, so I don't leave the house unless I absolutely have to, which is why I'm not in church every Sunday. I'm not teaching Sunday school anymore, but I do pray quite a bit, and I read my Bible, and I watch YouTube, and I love having all of these stories shared. And I was thinking, am I having rapture dreams just because I'm reading about it, I'm hearing about it, and like it's getting into my subconscious, and that's why I'm having rapture dreams? Or am I having rapture dreams because God's putting them in my head, and he wants me to be having these dreams, and they are prophetic rapture dreams? And I took it to the Lord in prayer, and he explained to me, you know, the verse got brought back into my mind, you know, in the end times, your old man will dream dreams, and your young man will have visions. And don't quote me on that, but it's like, it's very similar. It's very similar language. So what the Lord was showing me was, it didn't matter if it was because I was reading and thinking about it and hearing other experiences, or if he was just putting the dreams in my head naturally, and they would just be there anyways, even if I wasn't doing those things. Because it said, either way, in the end times, we're going to be having these types of dreams. So after he gave me that revelation, that's when I felt confident to share them. And I also want to share just a few scripture verses on that. So 1 Thessalonians 4:16 and 17 says, "For the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trumpet of God. And the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and thus we shall always be with the Lord. Another verse is John 14:2-3. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Then 1 Corinthians 15:51-52. Behold, I tell you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, and the dead will be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. Matthew 24:30-31. Then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the heaven, and there all tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with the great sound of a trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. I don't know what you guys believe. I don't know if you're like pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib. This verse sounds to me like he's gathering the saints that have come out of the tribulation after the rapture and after the 7-year tribulation, but I could be wrong. But it was included in there as a rapture verse, so I wanted to read it anyway. Revelation 3:10, because you have kept my command to persevere, I also will keep you from the hour of trial, which shall come upon the whole world to test those who dwell in the earth. And then there's Matthew 24:37-42. But as in the days of Noah were, so also will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know the flood came and took them all away, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. And then there's me trying to figure it out, and I think, well, if God's on Israel time, I'm in America, so like if men are working in the field and they're grinding at the mill, maybe it's gonna be daytime over there, and maybe I'll be sleeping in my bed when the rapture happens. I mean, that's my logic. I don't know, but okay, so that's the rapture dreams. I'm gonna set those aside. My next dream was a bride of Christ and a wedding feast dream. Although that when I had it, I didn't it just didn't click. Like, we know all the verses about the 10 virgins and being ready and, you know, the Lamb's Supper and the wedding feast and all of that stuff. Like, if we've read our Bible, we've been in Bible study, which I have for a really long time, like, I know this stuff. And I'm blown away that I had this dream and I didn't even put it together that it was such a special dream and a prophetic dream, and God kind of giving me a glimpse. But it definitely is in that category of that verse where God says, you know, your old men will dream dreams. And I do believe this was a prophetic dream. So I'm gonna jump right into it. What happened was, I went to sleep. I don't remember the date. It was probably it was sometime during COVID, because my kids were still at home and being homeschooled. I do remember that. So like 2020 to 2022, somewhere in that time frame. So I went to sleep and I had this dream that I was with my son and I was walking into a banquet hall, and there was like a table, maybe twice the size of this, like spread twice that far, and it had all kinds of beautiful food just piled on it, and it was beautifully displayed. Everything looked absolutely delicious. It was kind of like a cruise ship. Like, if I could explain it, like, I would think it would be a cruise ship or a very, very upscale wedding type hors d'oeuvre table. And on the floor the tile, I don't think it's tile, it's marble. And the marble was green with gold and kind of white in it. If you ever see like that real wealthy, like dark green marble, sometimes you see it like maybe on a cruise ship, maybe in a fancy hotel, maybe in a more upscale retirement center. I hope you guys can picture this because it looked very, very beautiful. And I was walking on this floor and I went up 2 steps, and then it looked like a smaller banquet hall. It wasn't very large. Like if you imagine a tiny, tiny church and their banquet hall like in the basement. It didn't look like a basement. It looked like a beautiful room, but it was like smaller, like a more intimate setting. And there was about, I would say, 6 bleacher style tables, like 3 on this side, 3 on this side. When I walked in, my parents were sitting at the one, I don't know how this camera is, right, left, I don't know. They were at the one on my right, so I could see my parents, and I had my son next to me, and I walked up, and I had some friends and neighbors and family that I recognized at the other bleacher style seating, but then there was people that I didn't recognize at all, but they still felt like family. So do you ever go to like a family reunion and maybe you meet your great aunt so-and-so or your second cousin 4 times removed, and like you've never met this person in your life, but you figure out how you're connected and like you have that sense of family? That's how these people felt to me. Well, I got my plate, I got my son's plate fixed, and I was sitting down, and everybody was laughing and smiling and having a great time and no worries. And my parents, one by one, got called. So my mom went back first, and then my dad went back. I didn't know where they were going. I was sitting there at this table eating and laughing and having a great time with my friends and family. And then I got called next, and I had great anticipation and excitement because I knew it was good, but I didn't know where I was going. And I said to my son, okay, you're gonna get called next, but be good. Are you okay? Because I have to go. And he said, yeah, I'm okay, I'm okay. So then I went, and I was taken down a hallway into what seemed like this little closet. It just seemed like a little church closet is how I would describe it. And there was like a pedicure chair set up. So like if you go into the salon and you sit down in the chair, you put your feet in the water, and there was a woman there and she was going to give me a pedicure. And I remember there was like this very big deal about my feet being washed very clean and that my nails looked really well done. But when she was doing it, it wasn't like at the salon. I don't know how many of you are watching. Guys, I'm sorry, I know you can't really relate to this, but girls, if you've gone to get your nails done, you know, they go kind of quick and you might chit chat a little bit. But this woman, it's kind of like when a mother brings home her newborn baby from the hospital and she gives that baby a bath for the first time, and is so gentle and with so much love and with so much pride and so much happiness. She just bathes her little baby and then cuddles her baby. That's kind of how it felt, like this woman taking care of getting my feet perfectly manicured. I didn't know her, but it was like a sense of overwhelming care and joy in the act of doing this for me. Next thing I know, I'm up in a room, and I feel very much like it's up, and I could kind of see out a window. If I had to guess, I'd say maybe I was 5 stories up in the air. Like, it felt up, and it was a turret kind of room, like round, and the walls were like a sandstone golden color. As I said, there's a window. I could see light coming in the window, but it was like a real warm golden light. And you know how whenever you can see dust, whenever it filters in, when the light filters into a room, this wasn't dust. It was like gold dust. It was like gold. And I had a wedding gown on, like a white, beautiful gown. I had white gloves. Somebody was behind me. I don't know if this presence was an angel. It wasn't a family member that I personally know, but it was like more familiar and more caring than what somebody at bridal shop would be. Again, it was just, this person was behind me, like lacing up my dress. And it was like the like the eyelet, like the button with the loop all the way down my back. And I remember looking down at my feet, and I remember the rug. It was like an oriental rug, but it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful tapestry. If I had to guess, like this rug probably cost $5,000 or more, like very, very elegant and wealthy. And the person that was behind me, I couldn't see them, but I was feeling them lace me up and everything. And they said, okay, just wait here. And then I woke up. So I can only assume that this dream was very much like the body as the bride of Christ and preparing us for the wedding supper with Jesus. And I went through the Bible and I pulled out some verses that pertain to us as the body of Christ, as the bride of Christ, and then also that supper that we'll all get to attend with him. Revelation 19:7-9. Let us rejoice and be glad and give him glory, for the wedding of the Lamb has come, and his bride has made herself ready. Fine linen, bright and clean, was given her to wear. Ephesians 5:25-27. Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy, cleaning her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. Revelation 21:2. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautifully dressed for her husband. Matthew 22:2-14. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a long passage, but if you guys want to look it up, it contains the parable of the wedding feast, where a king invites guests to a wedding banquet for his son, which is kind of like a parallel of what this wedding feast with Jesus will be like for us. 2 Corinthians 11-2. I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy. I promised you to one husband, to Christ, so that I might present you as a pure virgin to him. John 3:29. The bride belongs to the bridegroom. The friend who attends the bridegroom, who stands and listens for him, rejoices greatly at the bridegroom's voice. That joy is mine, and it is now complete. Revelation 21:9. One of the seven angels who had the seven bowls full of the seven last plagues came and said to me, come, I will show you the bride, the wife of the Lamb. I have a few more. Isaiah 62:5. As a bridegroom rejoices over his bride, so will your God rejoice over you. Song of Solomon 2:10-13. While this book is primarily like a love poem between Solomon and his wife, it's kind of like a synonym for Christ's love for the church. And it says, my beloved spoke and said to me, arise, my darling, my beautiful one, come with me. Matthew 25:1-13. This is another longer passage. It's a parable, but it's the one about the 10 virgins. The wise virgins and the foolish virgins, and the emphasis of the importance of being prepared for the coming of the bridegroom, which is Jesus. Revelation 3:20. Here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in and eat with that person and they with me. So this kind of symbolizes like the invitation to fellowship. 1 Thessalonians 4:16-17. For the Lord himself will come down from heaven with a loud command, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. After that, we who are still alive and left will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And as I said, while I was getting ready and I was being made ready, I had a sense that I was in this building, but I was very high up, like I was very high up in the air. Hebrews 14. Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. So at that time when I had the dream, I wasn't dating anybody. Marriage was the last thing on my mind. When I was being prepared for this, it wasn't a sense of like me being prepared for my own wedding. I had an understanding that everybody that was in that banquet hall with me, we all would have our turn and be made ready. And when I was told to wait, it was like with so much excitement and great anticipation, and I had no idea what was going to happen. Also that time, it was during COVID. I had been sick. My diseases had really been ramping up. I was trying to homeschool my children. I was not attending church. I wasn't reading my Bible a lot. So like these verses weren't anywhere fresh in my mind, and it wasn't something I was focused on. So I believe very much that it was a special dream from the Lord to just kind of reel me back in and prepare me and let me know that yes, he's coming. Yes, he wants to prepare us. Yes, there's going to be a wedding feast, and it's something to get really excited about. Okay, now, I'm a procrastinator, and I've been putting off sharing this stuff for so long that it's built and built and built, and now I have so many things to share. But I'm going to do a better job in the future. I hope, pray for me that I do in sharing as these things come up or as these dreams or visions happen. Okay, the last one. The 3 days of darkness. I did date this one, and I did write it down because by this point I realized God was going to keep doing this kind of stuff in my life, and I wanted to have like a written log with dates and more details, and because you know you have a dream and a lot of time goes by and you forget the tiny details that you otherwise wish you would have remembered or that are important later, like now when you want to share them with all of YouTube. Okay, so let me get out my handy dandy Miracles and Communication with God notebook. Everybody here, you guys know what the 3 days of darkness is. Okay, maybe let me just recap. So this is like a Catholic prophecy, and basically what is said is that the Lord is going to cover the earth with 3 total days of darkness, and it's going to be like dark beyond dark beyond dark. Like you're not even going to be able to move in it. It's going to be so thick. Like everybody's going to have to stay home. Nothing is going to work. No electricity. Like the whole grid is going to be down. The only thing that will work is, from what I hear, white candles, beeswax candles, or like kerosene lamps with clean kerosene oil in them. At that time, there's going to be a lot of evil released into the world. Before it happens, there's going to be like signs in the sky, like the northern lights, but it's going to be seen all over the whole world. And then it's going to shift and become very, very, very dark. To me, this just sounded like Catholicism, mysticism. I didn't really believe it. I didn't put too much stock into it or take it very seriously. Until then I had this dream, and I'll get into the dream. So what happened was, okay, a couple things to keep in mind. The Lord was trying to like confirm this to me and build me up, like, hey, I really did send this dream. I want you to kind of pay attention to this. Guys, take this to the Lord. Please pray about it, because I'm having a hard time with it. I'm just feeling like he's just nagging me and nagging me, nagging. And it's like, get this out. You need to share. I'd like you to share. I want this shared. I gave this to you. It's your obligation to share. So now I'm doing it almost more to like, it feels like God's like a monkey on my back right now. And sometimes he does that when he wants me to do something and it's very important. So there's the verse that talks about how there'll be signs and wonders in the sky in the end times. And northern lights are very beautiful, and they do capture people's attention. And to me, that would be like a sign in the sky. Also, Jesus was in the tomb for 3 days and 3 nights in total darkness in the tomb. So I kind of feel like this is almost synonymous with that. And This was back, I had the dream the night of March 15th, 2023. And that morning, March 16th, as soon as I woke up, I sat down and I wrote all this out. And you guys can see how long I can procrastinate on something, because this was March 2023 and it is now July 2nd, 2025. So I've been sitting on this and praying about it for 2 years. But at this point, I have such a sense of urgency to share it that, like, I have a million things to do today, guys, like literally a million things to do. And the pressure to share it was so extreme. I thought, okay, I'm not even gonna do my hair. I have a t-shirt on. I'm just gonna get my camera and share it. So, when I went to sleep, I had a dream that I was standing on my back deck, and I can actually show you guys my back deck if I don't mess up the camera too bad. You know what, I'm not even gonna try because I'm not good with technology. Anyways, out this window. Okay, that's my back deck. But on the side over here, there's like a lookout and there's like all kinds of trees. Like it looks out into woods and then it goes into another neighborhood. When I had this dream, I was standing on the deck and there was 2 hills that kind of were like this and like this. And then there was trees all over the hills. And I kind of drew it a little bit so that you can see it. But my drawing is just absolutely terrible. But I'm gonna show it to you anyways. So, like, here's me standing on my little deck. Here's the 2 hills. Here's the trees. There was this huge orb. I mean, huge, like really, really huge. Like if the sun would come right up to Earth, like I think it would be like 5 times bigger than the sun. And it was very low and it was on the horizon. So I'm just gonna read a little bit about what I saw. Also, this dream, it felt really, really real. When I woke up, I couldn't believe it was a dream. It felt that real. Anyways, the orb was very bright green, vibrant, glowing, translucent, ugly, like Slimer from Ghostbusters. Like that's how it looked. It was like a slimy green color. And this slimy green color was swirling all around it and like vibrating in waves out of it. It was also like sitting on the horizon. So it was like right there, like right on the horizon where the ground meets the sky. I couldn't believe how low or close to Earth it was. So my first thought was, oh my gosh, this is so weird. This is like the signs and wonders in the sky, and this sounds just like the prophecy, the 3 days of darkness. The 3 days of darkness must be starting. My next thought was, wow, this is a lot closer to Earth than what I expected anything could get without actually being on Earth and weighing it down. I expected it to be much higher up in the sky, but it was right there at ground level. And in my dream, I don't remember if I thought it was the sun. I don't know if I thought it was a planet or a moon. It was just this great big green glowing orb that was like pulsating and sending more green goo looking stuff into the sky. My third thought was, I realized that I had not taken the 3 days of darkness seriously, and I really wish that I would have. And I realized I had to run to the grocery store 5 minutes down the hill for supplies. Like I would need to get a water supply, I needed to get some food. I mean, the kids were gonna eat. I knew I'd probably sit and read my Bible, fast and pray. I wanted to get some stuff to do communion with. I wanted to get the white candles or the beeswax candles. But I remember panicking and thinking, okay, I have to jump in my car and I have to drive and go and get these supplies. So I went into the front yard, and the green swirling stuff, it was coming down out of the sky, and I could see it like on the ground, like right above the grass, and I had to walk through it. And I got in my car. I was driving out of my neighborhood. I had the feeling that I had to warn everybody, and I really regretted that I hadn't called friends and family or neighbors, and that I hadn't talked to anybody about it before this. I was trying to call many people on my phone. I called my parents. I couldn't get a hold of them. I was trying to call my brother. He wouldn't answer the phone. I got to the end of the street. It looked so ominous. Am I using that word correctly? Ominous. That I thought maybe I should turn around and go back and not worry about the supplies. It's like, you know, I could use my sink to collect water right away, and I probably had enough stuff at home. At that point, I woke up, and I was very distressed whenever I woke up. I felt very scared. I felt very much unprepared. I felt very much in urgency to tell people that if they hear about the 3 days of darkness, like, you might want to get prepared. Now I do have like a 5-day water supply here just in case. I do have white candles. I have my beeswax candles. The prophecy says the only people that will have light in their home are the people that have these candles, and that they need to be blessed by a priest. I mean, the word says that believers are priests alongside of Christ, and I have prayed over these candles, so I'm pretty sure if this event happens, they will ignite and we'll have light in our home. But I did feel a need to share this, and I also felt a need to look up any Bible verses that could kind of pertain to the 3 days of darkness. Again, you guys, I'm still taking this to the Lord. I don't know how serious to take the prophecy. The fact I had a prophetic dream about it, and then also the fact I feel such an urgency to share. Like, I can't even move on with my day until I do share. And that's usually how the Lord works with me if he wants me to do something. I'd say it's a pretty good possibility, and I'd rather have this stuff and not need it than need it and not have it. Guys, and if you don't know what this prophecy is, like, just Google 3 days of darkness prophecy, or look up other people's YouTube videos about it and learn a little bit more about it. I'm not going to take you through the whole thing here, but the gist of it is, you know, 3 days of darkness. There's going to be a lot of evil outside. Don't let anybody look in your windows. It's like a whole bunch of stuff. You're just going to want to learn about it. And then definitely get the candles and like a food and water supply for 3 days. Oh, and it's going to be chilly because we're going to have no sun. So like 56, 55, 56 degrees, the earth. Get blankets too. Okay, so examples of the 3 days of darkness are parallels that have occurred in scripture. Jonah in the belly of the whale, so Jonah 1:17. Now the Lord has prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. And again, Jesus in the tomb, Matthew 12:40. I'm not going to read all the verses from all the Gospels, but I'm just going to read the one from Matthew. For as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the great fish, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. Exodus 10:21-23. This was the plague of darkness in Egypt. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, darkness which may even be felt. So Moses stretched out his hand towards heaven, and there was thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They did not see one another, nor did anyone rise from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings. So it's very similar to like what we're hearing here from the different prophecies and different people that have had visions or have been given words about the 3 days of darkness that may be coming up. Additional references to darkness, Amos 8:9. And it shall come to pass in that day, says the Lord God, that I will make the sun go down at noon, and I will darken the earth in broad daylight. And then also, there was another time where God caused darkness all over the land. That was during the crucifixion. Matthew 27, verse 45. Now from the 6th hour until the 9th hour, there was darkness all over the land. So we know in the past, God has created times of darkness that have encompassed the earth, or darkness for 3 days for important purposes. So if this would come to pass, I would not be surprised at all. I just want to release it because I feel an urgency to do so. I've been procrastinating on it 2 years, and I just want to be obedient. But please, please take this to the Lord in prayer. Ask for discernment, and just see what he speaks to you regarding it. But I feel like so many of us are having dreams about it and visions. I think it's going to be a pretty important event to pay attention to and to prepare for. So just in case, we're prepared here. And I hope this video blessed some of you today, and I hope that you all have a blessed and wonderful day serving Jesus and enjoying God's creation. And hopefully I won't procrastinate on this stuff the next time, so we won't be having a 40-minute video with 4 different dreams. It'll just be like one at a time. And you guys, please pray for me. I've been really sick for a really long time, and trusting and hoping that God will heal me. I know if he doesn't, he has another plan and he can still use me for the kingdom. But I would really just love to feel well and be able to get out there and hug my brothers and sisters and teach our God's little children, and that's something that I really miss. Okay, I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.